Right. Hello, friends. Welcome. So, welcome to Costing Revision Marathon. So, by Prasanna Kumar sir, that's me. Of course, you can call me as PK sir. Right. Of course, the classes are free. So, I welcome you guys all to the first session, and I think I've briefly made a video, an intro video about how the things are going to happen. So first thing that you guys need to understand is in the new syllabus the costing paper is for 100 marks. Earlier it was not the case. It was like costing 50 and FM was 50. But now the same syllabus FM is only for 60 marks in your group 2, whereas the costing, the 50 marks portion was increased all the way to 100 marks. The portion did not get increased, but the marks, and except only one chapter was added, to be pretty honest. There was not much of a change in syllabus, so which means it's a bonus paper now. Actually it deserves 100 marks, but in the old syllabus it was pretty much, that's why most of the times what students used to do is that they used to skip what the costing, and then the first preference used to be given for FM because the syllabus is less and still you get 50 marks in the exam, and then they used to go for costing. Most of the chapters they used to skip and they used to do all this sorts of jugaad. Okay, but now in new syllabus that's not the case, because this is a full paper for 100 marks. It's a complete 100 marks paper, so that's one thing that you guys need to understand. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is that I will try to touch each and every chapter, but if the time is not sufficient, probably we may not be able to do that, but still I'll try my level best. So this particular revision session, whatever that you're watching, starts on September 7th, which you guys are watching right now, and 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day. Now when I say 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., don't come to a conclusion that it's gonna be exactly 2 hours. It might be more than that or less than that, okay, depending upon the situation, till September 20th. Okay, so approximately I can say 14 days. We had some grace days over here, into 2 hours per day approximately. So this will be approximately 30 hours session. So you can say it's a serious session. It's not just some 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours session. It's a serious 30 hours session. Okay, it can be more than that as well, depending upon the situation. Okay, so depending upon how you guys respond, see, response is nothing but when the class is going on, you have the chat session over there, how you guys communicate over there. Okay, and if at all you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section, or you can WhatsApp to this particular number 924694644. This is typical PK Sir classes number. Okay, you can WhatsApp to that particular number. So yeah, you got various options. So the whole purpose of this particular session is that you guys need to get engaged. Okay, so it's not like, see, generally what happens is that not all the students, but most of the students, they feel that okay, chalo ye to free classes hai, that seriousness naturally goes away. But some students who have faced this financial constraints and they are, like, finding lectures or quality lectures is pretty rare, then the value recognition is totally onto a different level. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is that just because the classes are free right now doesn't mean that you have to be a little bit lethargic or something like that. You got to be very serious, as if you bought these classes for 2000 rupees or something like that. Now, because it's a rapid revision classes, normally we sell it at that price, but now the plan is different. Why? Because of COVID-19 there has been so much of troublesome kind of situations, and we wanted to do what we can from our side. So we wanted to provide time. Even we are also actually victims of corona, but still everybody in the country, it's not like only corona affected persons or victims. Everybody, the family, everybody, to be very honest, either financially or non-financially, we have suffered, right? So anyway, keeping all those things aside, right now it's a time for us to fight back like a lion, okay, and crack the exam. So that's all our target is. Very simple. Chalo, anyway, so now in this whole session, sir, are we going to cover concepts? Of course, Obviously, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, I'm known for concepts. I don't know how many of you guys at CA inter level are aware of me, but at CA final level, I'm known for concepts. So I hope I can do, you know, equal justice for you guys as well. And the second thing is, are we going to cover problems? Oh, yes. But obviously, you cannot expect so many problems to be covered given the time constraint, but still, yes, we are going to cover. In fact, we're going to learn concepts from problems only. Normally in regular session, my style of teaching is totally different. I will go with concepts first and then I'll go with the problems. But now because we don't have time, we have to somehow manage it. So sometimes from problems, it's easy to learn the concept. So that way also we are going to cover. So some chapters, serious importance will be given. When I say some chapters, I'm talking about activity-based costing, overheads, materials, marginal costing, standard costing, cost accounting systems, all the so-called chapters which according to me, I have a feeling that I've got so many messages also that students are really finding it difficult. Those chapters will be given more importance, more coverage. Also, those chapters from where the proportion of marks that comes in the examination is also very high, then that chapters also will be given very good importance. Are you able to understand? So which means obviously there are some chapters where we may not be able to touch upon, or we may not be able to give enough importance. That is also there. But as you know, the target is to get exemption. It will be covered in such a way that we'll try to get the exemption. And obviously we are going to get the exemption, provided how seriously you follow these classes is all that matters. You got the point? So I think this much of brief intro is enough. So without wasting any further time, I think it's time for us to get into the session. So let's get to the session. So the first chapter that we're going to start is marginal costing. Now you guys can ask me, why did you start with this particular chapter? There are so many reasons for the same. Many students have messaged me saying that, sir, that absorption costing versus marginal costing, that particular concept we are not able to understand because there's so much of content in the institute study material. We are not able to appreciate the same. I'll show you. For example, as you can see here, this is your study material. See, study material is everything here. I am firm believer of that. Okay, we should cover study material page by page. That's it. You will clear CA exams and you'll move forward. As simple as that. So some of them, they have messaged me saying that they are not able to understand this product cost as well as period cost. That is one thing. Okay, product cost and period cost. And distinction between marginal costing and absorption costing is the biggest thing in this particular chapter at CA interlevel. As you can see, the whole concept as such, of course, I'm going to cover in a pretty different way, but I'm going to cover everything, all these things. Okay, they say that, sir, ultimately we have read so much of content, sir, all these formats, blah blah blah, but once we start solving the sum, we're not able to get that clarity, you know. Somewhere or other we have to buy hard things, we have to, you know, practice it just because, okay, like this the answer has been given, so let's blindly go with it. I'm not convincing myself and then solving the question. I'm just going on with the answer just because the answer has been given in study material. This is the message that I've received from so many of the students. So that's why I thought that, okay, fine, this is the area which I should start upon. And standard costing also, I've received so many messages for the same, and materials chapter as well, and you know, cost accounting systems as well, integrated, non-integrated. So like that, there are a few chapters. I'm not able to recollect everything, but I think once I see my messages, once I see the notes which I've made, I hope I'll be able to recollect. Anyway, so therefore, we're gonna start with this particular chapter, the entire revision marathon. Ready, guys? Chalo. Now, what we are going to do is that there is another thing that will be running in your mind. Sir, what about material? Which we are going to discuss. The material will be available in my Telegram group. So what is my Telegram group? I'll try to put the link in the description, but you guys can search with the name PK Sir Classes, with the name in Telegram. You should be able to find it for sure. Okay, join that group. In that, I'll try to put all these materials, the relevant materials, whatever is required for you to follow this classes. So in this Telegram group, materials will be available. I hope everything is fine. So you need to get the materials from the Telegram group. Watch the videos by subscribing to my channel, YouTube channel. There it is, right? I hope everything is done. Let's try to keep it simple. Then in the future process, we'll try to discuss further things. And I've also told you how we are going to cover what will be our priority areas and all these things. I hope we're good to go, right? Chal. So let's start with marginal costing. This is going to be our first chapter. Okay, anyway, first thing. See, please try to understand it is a technique of costing. Now you can ask me, what do you mean by technique of costing? See, there are two things when it comes to our costing. One is technique, the other one is method. For example, marginal costing is a technique of costing. Budgetary control is a technique of costing. Standard costing is a technique of costing. And we have methods of costing as well. For example, contract costing, joint and byproducts, product costing, contract costing, joint and byproducts, process costing. Are you able to understand? Job and batch costing. All these are methods of costing. And this is technique of costing. What is the basic difference between technique and method? I can just tell you like this. Technique is like a use and throw pen. Method is like an ink pen. So technique is something where you use it, and then after that, once the usage is done, you'll entirely forget about it. Whereas method is not like the same. It stays with you. Much more detail of it we'll go through when we try to go with a chapter called basics of decision making. Basics of costing. Anyway, chalo. Just a second. Right, friends? Chalo. So the first thing that I've told you that it is technique of costing. Okay, so there are three techniques of costing for us as of now in our syllabus, as I told you already. One is budgeting, marginal costing, standard costing. Everything else is mostly what? Methods of costing. Okay, second, what is the objective of this chapter? See, when you try to learn any chapter, the most important thing that you guys need to learn is what is the objective. Objective in the sense purpose. Say for example, I am trying to learn a chapter called marginal costing. What is the purpose of learning this particular chapter? That is the first and foremost and important question. The objective of this chapter is decision making. Okay, which means you want to take what? Decisions. Now the question is, how are you going to take decisions as per marginal costing? Now let's try to see that. Okay, now see it. What you basically do is that you try to classify your costs based on variability. Okay, with cost object. So based on variability with cost object, you can classify your cost into three categories: fixed cost, variable cost, semi-variable cost. After classifying the cost into three categories based on variability, using this information to take decisions, okay, this whole thing will be referred as marginal costing, to put it very simple. So if somebody asks you what is marginal costing, the simplified answer would be it's a technique of costing where you try to classify your cost based on variability along with the cost object into three types of cost, that is variable cost, fixed cost and semi-variable cost, and then you use such classified information to take some decisions. This whole thing is referred as marginal costing. This whole technique of costing is referred as marginal costing. Very simple. Now if you're not able to understand what do you mean by this variability with cost object, how can you classify your cost based on variability with cost object into fixed cost, variable cost and semi-variable cost? What do you mean by cost object? Okay, then you have to do one work. In my channel, there are 4 videos with a name called Basics of Costing. You need to search in my channel. I don't think I've prepared any playlist. Part 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch these 4 videos mandatorily in my channel. So what is the channel name? CA Prasanna Kumar. Okay, PK sir in brackets. This is the channel name. Okay, so now that you are watching this particular lecture in my channel, right? In case if you are watching in any other channel, like for example RPL channel or something like that, then you go to my channel and in that you need to search for these videos with a name called Basics of Costing. What is that? Go to my channel, in that you will have video section. Click on that video section, you will get all the videos based on the recently uploaded video will be on the top. After that you'll have all the other videos as well. Just scroll down, you'll find Basics of Costing videos. 4 parts will be there. You watch them. In that, to put it very simple, your first chapter has been explained there. Intro to cost management. Okay, So you will know all the basics, like for example all the different classification of cost, classifying cost based on variability into what, a variable cost, fixed cost, then classifying classification of cost based on relationship like direct cost, indirect cost, okay, relevant cost, irrelevant cost, implicit cost, explicit cost, everything will be there, everything. Are you able to understand? So I want you guys to go there, watch these videos, then you will be able to understand this very easily. Because now being a revision session, that too a rapid revision session, we can't spend a lot of time in explaining all these things. But anyway, the video is there in my channel, therefore you better watch that video, and then you can come to this particular session and you can continue this as well if you're not comfortable with what I'm saying right now. Otherwise, if you're okay with it, because this is a revision session, which means obviously you should have studied it once. So in case if you say that no sir, I'm okay with this, I already have an idea what do you mean by classifying cost based on variability with the cost object into fixed cost, variable cost and semi variable cost, I'm okay with it, then we can just continue with the session. You got the point? So what are the two things that we have learned? Marginal costing is a technique of costing and the objective is to take decisions. How do you take decisions? I've explained you the simple definition of marginal costing. Got this? Chalo. Okay, so let's move on. What is the next thing we need to do? Next, we need to learn the concepts. Okay, before we get to the concepts, what I will rather do is that we'll solve problems. From the problems, we'll try to learn the concepts. That's the best way of doing things, especially during a revision session. Okay, so for that, let's go for the problem first. Okay, this is the material which I'll make it available in my Telegram channel. I told you what's my Telegram channel? Yeah. So my Telegram channel is PK Sir Classes. Join this Telegram channel, search it. I'll try to put it under the video description as well in the YouTube channel. But still, you search it, you'll find it. There I'll try to put the video. I'll try to put this particular material and all the other materials, whatever the materials that is necessary in future. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Following information is available for the first and second quarter of the year for ABC Limited. Quarter 1 and quarter 2, you got production in units 36,000, 42,000. Semi-variable cost is also given 2,80,000 and 3,10,000. So required, segregate the semi-variable cost and calculate variable cost per unit and total fixed cost. This is the question. Got it? Chalo. Let's try to do this question. Right guys, this is question number 1. Okay, we have 2 quarters over here, correct? Okay, just a second. So I want you guys to take the printout of this, or at least if you're watching the classes in laptop, you need to have the soft copy in your mobile, or if you're watching it in a mobile, then somehow try to get a hard copy. That's the only way, because I cannot show you both the windows simultaneously, so that will be a problem for you. For me, even I'll face the same problem because I can see only one video over here, one window over here, which you guys are watching. Probably I have another laptop where I have to see the questions. That's the situation. Okay. Right friends, I've just got the material over here. Chalo. Now, so what do you have in the question? You have quarter 1 and quarter 2. You've got production in units. Let me write production. That is given in units. So which is around 36,000. That is in quarter 1, and quarter 2 it is 42,000. Okay, then we have semi-variable cost. Semi-variable cost is how much? 2,80,000 in quarter 1 and 3,10,000 in quarter 2. Okay. Now understand one thing guys, that we are going to learn concepts based on questions only over here, because it's a revision batch. We cannot learn concepts all together and then straight away jump into sums. We don't have that much of time. That's the thing. So we're gonna be maintaining some pace as well. So I want you guys to follow me up and to keep up with my pace, okay, so that we can cover more. So that's the whole intention. Okay guys, now the simple logic over here is what? See, he has asked you to segregate the semi-variable cost into variable as well as fixed portion of it. So which means you need to find variable cost per unit, and also you need to find fixed cost. These are all the two things that he has asked by segregating this particular semi-variable cost. Now how are we going to do that? Now we're not going to by heart anything. Instead we're going to simply apply our common sense. What is that? Now see, units has got increased from 36,000 to 42,000, which means it has got increased by how much? 6,000 units, right? Now cost has got increased from 2,80,000 to 3,10,000, which is around 30,000. Now tell me one thing, any cost that increases along with change in units, any cost that increases along with change in units, or to put it this way, I'll tell you this way. Okay, anyway, let me make it even more simple. Any cost that changes with the output. Here the output has got changed from 36,000 to 42,000 and a cost has got changed. Any cost that changes along with the output is nothing but what cost? Variable cost. And also we know that variable cost per unit remains constant. Now how do we know this, sir? It's basics of costing chapter, sir. Intro to cost management. Okay. So we know that if any cost changes along with change in units, it is variable cost. We also know that variable cost per unit remains constant. You got it? Therefore, what are we going to do? Very simple. See. So variable cost per unit is equal to, we know that it is constant. How to find that? Change in cost divided by change in units. Why? Because any cost that changes along with change in units is nothing but variable cost. You got the point? Any cost that changes along with change in units is nothing but variable cost. So let's do that. So what's going to be the situation over here? Change in cost, it is 30,000 divided by change in units, it is 6,000, which means 30,000 divided by 6,000, you get 5 per unit. What is this 5 per unit? Variable cost. And you know that variable cost per unit remains constant. So that's the whole concept over here. So variable cost per unit remains constant. Ho gaya. Now let's move on to the next one. Now he has also asked you to calculate fixed cost. Now how to calculate fixed cost? Very simple. So fixed cost portion is equal to total semi-variable cost minus variable cost portion. Correct? Very simple. Fixed cost portion is nothing but total semi-variable cost minus variable cost portion. Now here you can pick any numbers from the question. If you look at the question over here, just have a look into here. Okay, you've got two levels of units. One is 36,000, the other one is 42,000. You can pick any one to calculate your fixed cost. In both the cases, your answer is going to be what? Same. So what is that? Let's try to understand. Now see you guys. Yeah. Just a second. Right guys, now see. So what is the situation over here? Your total semi-variable cost, I'll take quarter one. So quarter one total semi-variable cost is how much? 2,80,000, correct? So 2,80,000 minus your variable cost per unit is 5 per unit into quarter one. What is the number of units? It is there in the question, 36,000 units, which means your total cost will be how much? 5 into 36,000. 5 per unit is variable cost into number of units. Total variable cost is 1,80,000. So which means your fixed cost is how much? 1 lakh. So this I have calculated by taking quarter one information, or you can say quarter one figures. You can also do the same calculation by taking quarter two figures as well. Let's do that as well. Now see here, quarter two figures I'm taking. So again I'm going to calculate same fixed cost. Fixed cost is equal to total semi-variable cost minus variable portion. That implies I'll take quarter two. So quarter two, what is the semi-variable cost? 3,10,000 minus variable cost per unit is 5 into quarter two, the number of units is how much? 42,000. So which means 5 per unit into 42,000. So how much you get? 2,10,000. Here also the fixed cost is going to be how much? 1 lakh. Simple. So whether you take that information or you take this information, in both the cases anyway the number is going to be same. Are you able to understand? Now that's it. So we are done with it. Pretty simple. Got it guys? So with this we are done with problem number 1. I can't give you guys time to copy because we don't have enough time. So the better advice for you guys is anyway you can pause the video, you can rewind the video, you can do anything that you want. So you can copy slowly or you copy along with us simultaneously when the class is going on. That would be the better way. So you have to segregate the semi-variable cost. We have segregated it, and you need to find variable cost portion as well as fixed cost portion. We have done with that as well. So variable cost per unit is 5, fixed cost is how much? 1 lakh. Game over. Got the point? Chalo. So what are the concepts that you have learned from this particular question? The first concept is Any cost that changes along with change in units is variable cost, and also variable cost per unit remains constant. Therefore, I try to calculate variable cost per unit by taking change in cost by change in units. Okay, once you get variable cost per unit, from that I'll calculate fixed cost in total, because the intention behind calculating variable cost per unit and fixed cost in total is variable cost per unit always remains constant, fixed cost in total always remains constant. Therefore, we have taken two figures where they are constant. Variable cost per unit is constant, fixed cost in total is constant. Keep this point in mind, and that's how we have applied that particular logic over here, and we have eventually solved it. Got the point, guys? Chalo, fantastic. Right, now let's move on to the next question. Chalo guys, have a look at this illustration number 2, overhead analysis and computation of BEP. Okay, PQ Limited reports the following cost structure at two capacity levels. So 2000 units level, which is 100% capacity, and 1500 units level. You got production overhead 1, you got production overhead 2. 3 per unit, 4 per unit. Here it is 2 per unit and 2 per unit. Okay. If the selling price reduced by direct material and labor is 8 per unit, what would be its break-even point? That is the question. So because he has asked you break-even point, we'll try to learn the concept of break-even point, and then we'll go and solve the sum. Got it? Chalo, let's learn the concept. Right, friends. Okay, I've made the notes ready over here. So this one you got to pass it and then copy. Very important. So now, because the second question is based on BEP concept, we're gonna learn the concept and then we're gonna go ahead and solve problem number 2. Right, chalo, let's learn the concept. What is BEP? The first thing that you guys need to learn is this one. This is the keyword. So what is the keyword over here? Level of sales. What is the keyword? Level of sales. So BEP is a sales level at which a company or a firm or an organization ends up in no profit, no loss situation. So the most important point that you have to understand is break-even point means immediately what should strike in your mind, that it is a sales level. It is not something that is special. It is just a sales level. But at that sales level, your profit or loss of your particular company will be 0. That's what you need to understand. Got the point? So whenever I talk about BEP hereafter, which should be running in your mind? Sales level. Okay. Right, friends. Chalo. Next. So this is how a typical income statement looks like as per marginal costing. Okay. Income statement as per marginal costing. See, when we are going to learn the concept of marginal costing versus absorption costing, there I'll again explain you in detail. Right now, just have a basic idea. This is how an income statement will look like as per marginal costing. Okay. Sales minus variable cost, you get your contribution, minus fixed cost, you get your profit. Now this particular income statement is without stock. That also please kindly take a note. This particular income statement is without stock. Okay, that's also important. Right. So we know that profit or loss will be 0 when this sales is BEP sales, correct? Because BEP is a sales level. So when the sales level is break-even point sales level, then profit or loss will be 0. Now when profit or loss can be 0? When this information, that is contribution, must be equals to this information, which is fixed cost. Only then, contribution minus fixed cost, only when both of them are equal, the resultant profit will be 0. Otherwise it's not possible. So therefore we can say at break-even point, your contribution is exactly equals to your fixed commitment, that is fixed cost. This is another important point that you guys need to learn. Got it? So what is BEP? It's a sales level at which a company or a firm or organization ends up in no profit, no loss situation. You got it? So the key point that you guys need to remember here is it is a sales level. Second, we have seen the income statement as per marginal costing without any stock. That is, first you'll have sales, then we'll reduce variable cost, you get your contribution, reduce fixed cost, you get your profit. Now here I explained you the logic why we did not take stock. That's a different thing. When I go to marginal costing versus absorption costing, there I'll explain you the logic behind not taking stock over here. Anyway, so when the sales is break-even point sales, then obviously your profit or loss will be 0, and that is possible only when contribution and fixed cost numbers are equal. Why? Because from contribution you're going to reduce your fixed cost, so contribution and fixed cost numbers has to be equal. Only then your profit is going to be 0. Is that clear? Right. And then we have this so-called formula. Everybody knows this. Break-even point is nothing but fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. If you want your sales in units, if you want your sales in rupees, that is BP sales in rupees, then instead of fixed cost dividing with contribution per unit, you rather divide it with contribution percentage, and contribution percentage is nothing but PV ratio. This is another point that you guys need to remember. So many times PV ratio means people would have told you that it is profit volume ratio, blah blah blah, that, this and all that. But the simple understanding of PV ratio is nothing but, it is nothing but contribution percentage. So when you say PV ratio is 40%, what does it mean? Your contribution percentage is 40% of sales. If you say PV ratio is 30%, what does it mean? Your contribution percentage is 30% of sales. If you say PV ratio is 60%, what does it mean? If there is 1 rupee of sale, then 60 paise will be contribution. So to put it very simple, PV ratio is nothing but contribution percentage. So therefore, if you want to calculate BEP in units, you need to divide fixed cost with contribution per unit. If you want to find out BEP in rupees, instead of dividing with contribution per unit, you need to divide it with percentage, so that the resultant answer will be in absolute rupees. Now contribution percentage is nothing but PV ratio. So that's the concept that I was trying to explain. Is that clear? Fantastic. So now that we have talked about the term called PV ratio, let's learn what is PV ratio. Okay, now have a look at this one, Nana. Right. So what is PV ratio? Here I've written basic indicator of profitability of any business. Okay, now you guys need to understand one thing. Now listen carefully over here. If you need to understand the logic behind PV ratio, first of all you need to understand why the term contribution has come into picture. This is very important. Now listen carefully. Now all of you are aware of this particular statement, right? Sales, from this we reduce variable cost, you get contribution, from that we reduce fixed cost, you get your profit. Now, everybody is aware of this income statement, the so-called income statement as per what, Nana? Marginal costing. Everybody is aware of the same. Now can you please tell me how this income statement has come in the first place? Earlier people were taking decisions based on profit. They were taking decisions based on profit, which means this particular figure. Later suddenly they have realized that this profit you're getting after reducing fixed cost, and this fixed cost remains constant irrespective of your decision, which means whether your decision is yes or your decision is no, the fixed cost remains the same. So when something remains same, something remains constant irrespective of your decision, whether it is yes or no, then that something is irrelevant for decision, correct? It is not relevant, you need not consider it. So therefore they wanted to ignore fixed cost. But now they can't ignore. Why? Because when you're calculating profit, you're reducing fixed cost. When you're reducing fixed cost, it's in fact you are considering fixed cost. So then they started thinking, okay, so which means profit is also irrelevant, because you are getting that particular number called profit after reducing fixed cost, which is something that is irrelevant. So I need a number which is equivalent to profit where fixed cost should not be reduced, because fixed cost is irrelevant for decision making. Therefore from that logic only they have figured out a new word called contribution, where what is the meaning of this word contribution? How much a company has got in its pockets initially to contribute for fixed cost and later to contribute for profit. How much a company has got in its pockets initially to contribute for fixed cost and later to contribute for profits. So from that only you have got the term called contribution. Is that clear? From this term only we have the wording called profit volume ratio. So generally people feel that the name is profit volume ratio, then why the formula is contribution by sales into 100? Because according to marginal costing, profit is nothing but contribution, because fixed cost is what? Irrelevant. That is the logic. That's why it is called as profit volume ratio. Anyway, internationally it is called as contribution sales ratio only. Only in India still we are calling it as profit volume ratio. Normally in international exams, international books and all, this particular formula is referred as contribution sales ratio only. It's much more easier to understand. Contribution sales ratio means obviously contribution by sales into 100, which is nothing but contribution percentage. You got the background? Chalo, fantastic. Okay, so based on that logic only, so that's why it is called as basic indicator of profitability of any business. You might get it out. Contribution is not profit, right? Because contribution minus fixed cost only, you've got profit. Then how can you say PV ratio is basic indicator of profitability of any business? The logic is because fixed cost is irrelevant. Are you able to understand? So your contribution is considered equivalent to profit. That's the logic. It is because fixed cost is basically what? Irrelevant. And not only that, after a particular point of time, once your fixed cost is completely recovered after BEP, okay, once break-even point is crossed, your fixed cost is completely recovered, then after that fixed cost will be zero. In that case, contribution will be nothing but your profit. That is also one logic. Anyway, so what is the formula for PV ratio? Contribution by sales into 100. PV ratio tells you the contribution percentage. Alternative formula is there. This is total contribution by total sales into 100. This is contribution per unit by selling price per unit into 100, or change in contribution by change in sales into 100, or 1 minus variable cost ratio, or change in profit by change in sales into 100. Now you can ask me, what do you mean by this change in profit by change in sales into 100? You have written it as residual. Residual in the sense you need to use this particular formula as a last resort to calculate PV ratio, which means if there is any question and he has asked you to calculate PV ratio, first you will use contribution by sales into 100, or you will try to use change in contribution by change in sales into 100, or you will try to use contribution per unit by selling price per unit into 100, or you will try to use 1 minus variable cost ratio. If any of these formulas you are not able to use to calculate PV ratio, then you will go for the last resort formula, which is change in profit by change in sales into 100. Got it? Chalo, anyway. Now what do you mean by variable cost ratio? Very simple. Variable cost ratio means what? Suppose selling price is 100. Variable cost is 60. Your contribution will be 40, correct? So what will be your PV ratio here? PV ratio is nothing but contribution by sales into 100, which is 40 by 100 into 100, which is 40%. What will be your variable cost ratio? Variable cost ratio is nothing but variable cost by sales into 100. Variable cost is 60, so 60 by sales into 100, which is 60%. Are you able to understand? So if variable cost ratio is 60%, then 1 minus 60%. 1 minus 60% means we'll write 1 minus 0.6. In that case, 0.4. 0.4 is nothing but 40%, which is nothing but PV ratio. So that way also we can calculate PV ratio. Why? Because variable cost plus contribution is nothing but selling price. Why? Because variable cost plus contribution is nothing but selling price. Got the point? Chalo, fantastic. Now, so as you can see the marginal costing income statement over here, sales minus variable cost, you got contribution, minus fixed cost, you got your profit. Okay, so fixed cost mostly remains constant, therefore taking decision based on profit doesn't make any sense. So I need something where fixed cost is not reduced because it is irrelevant. That's where the logic of contribution has come into picture. As I've told you here, as you can see, the marginal costing chapter purpose is to take decisions. Are you able to understand? So this logic I have already told you. I need something where fixed cost is not reduced because it is irrelevant, and that something is nothing but contribution. So that is how contribution term has been created. So finally, let's try to understand the sequence of events. First, contribution term has been created. Then based on that, PV ratio term has been created, which is nothing but contribution sales ratio, which is nothing but it tells you contribution percentage, correct? And from that, break even point concept has been created. Got it? So that is the sequence of events. So first contribution term creation, then PV ratio, then break even point. Ho gaya. Finally, if your actual expected sales, the sales that you are actually expecting to happen, is less than BEP sales, then obviously your situation will be loss, because the sales that is expected to happen is less than BEP sales, which means obviously you'll face loss. If it is equal to BEP sales, then definitely it's break-even point. If your actual expected sales is equal to BEP sales, then that is nothing but break-even point, right? So obviously there will be no profit or no loss. If your actual expected sales is greater than BEP sales, then it means that you have crossed your break-even point, which means obviously you'll be in the profit zone. Okay. Last but not least, there is one important assumption here. Assumptions behind BEP formula. Now this you need to learn from a safety perspective, even in your CA inter. Okay, now what do you mean by this? The so-called break-even point formula which you have, which is nothing but fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, if you want answer in terms of units, or break-even point is equal to fixed cost divided by PV ratio, PV ratio is nothing but contribution percentage. These formulas you can use only if these 4 conditions are cumulatively satisfied. See, please try to understand, break-even point is not a formula. Break-even point is a level of sales at which your profit or loss of your organization will be zero. For our convenience, we converted that into a formula. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to tell you? Break-even point is not a formula. It's a sales level at which your profit or loss of your particular company is zero. For our convenience, we converted that into formula so that we can calculate things easier. So break-even point is not a formula. It's a sales level at which profit is zero. Now, so behind this so-called formula creation, which we know, that is BEP is equal to fixed cost by contribution per unit, or BEP is equal to fixed cost by contribution percentage, which is nothing but PV ratio. Behind this formula creation, there are certain assumptions. Just like you have this EOQ formula in materials chapter, square root of 2AB by C. Behind that formula also we have similar assumptions. When I go to materials chapter, I'll explain you. So what are the assumptions behind this formula? Selling price per unit has to be constant, which means in a question, if selling price is changing, and if in that question you have been asked to calculate break-even point, can you use this formula of fixed cost divided by contribution per unit to find break-even point? You can't. Second point, variable cost per unit has to remain constant, which means if in a question variable cost per unit is changing, in that question to find break-even point, can you use this formula? No. Fixed cost in total has to remain constant. That is the third point, which means in a question where you have been asked to calculate break-even point, if fixed cost is changing, can you blindly use this formula to calculate break-even point? Answer is again no. Finally, relationship between total cost and revenue must be linear. Linear means proportional relationship. Now, if that is there, then it's fine. If that is not there, then again it's a problem. Are you able to understand? Which means if any of these conditions, even if one condition out of this 4 is not satisfied, then you cannot use break-even point formula to find out break-even point. Still you need to find break-even point. Please try to understand. You cannot use BEP formula to find out BEP, but still you need to find BEP, right? Are you able to understand the logic over here? I cannot use BEP formula, that is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, or fixed cost divided by PV ratio, to find break-even point, but still I need to find break-even point, correct? Got this? So break-even point is not a formula, it's a sales level at which your so-called what do you call, profit is zero. Got it? Right, fantastic. That's the point. So keep this in mind. So hereafter, in case you come across any problem in any RTP or in the question paper as well, check that whether selling price is constant, variable cost per unit is constant, fixed cost in total is constant. If all these conditions are satisfied, then apply BEP formula to find BEP. Otherwise, you cannot use the formula. Still, you need to find BEP. That's one important point, remember. Because in one RTP in your CA Inter also, this question was asked. Got it? Chala, fantastic. So now we'll go for BEP charts. As you can see the chart over here. Okay, so it's a simple chart. I'll just draw it and show it for you. Here I'll show. Okay, this is the chart. You got output on x-axis, you got revenue and cost on y-axis. Okay, and then what is this line? This is the first line that I'm trying to draw. Obviously it is fixed cost. Why it is fixed cost? Because even though your output is changing, the cost remains constant. Anything that remains constant irrespective of change in output is fixed cost. And obviously this one is total cost. Why it is total cost? Because it starts from here. It did not start from zero. So which means for fixed cost you are adding variable cost. That's why it is total cost. Then this is your total revenue line. Okay, obviously this will be your break-even point, where your revenue line cuts the cost line from below. That is important. And this is your break-even point. Okay, and remaining things are quite a bit simple. This is loss zone and this is profit zone, and here you got theta, that is nothing but angle of incidence. Angle of incidence. And then let's say this is your actual expected sales. Okay, actual expected sales. Then obviously difference between these two is MOS. Okay, still I have not yet taught you the concept of MOS, that is margin of safety. We'll see that. Okay, that is margin of safety. Margin of safety is nothing but difference between your BEP sales and actual expected sales. Are you able to understand? Anyway, we'll do one thing, because anyway the point of discussion has come. Let's finish off the concept of MOS as well. Okay, chalo, see here itself I'll show you. Okay, what is MOS? Margin of safety. So what is margin of safety? Very simple. It is a level of sales beyond BEP sales. Very simple. What is margin of safety? It's a level of sales beyond BEP sales. Beyond BEP, whatever the sales beyond BEP, whatever the sales level you have got, it is nothing but margin of safety. So from this we can derive a formula. Margin of safety sales is equal to actual expected sales minus BEP sales. Correct? Margin of safety sales is equal to actual expected sales minus BEP sales. Got the point? So it's a level of sales beyond BEP sales. That's what I've written. Actual expected sales minus BEP sales is nothing but MOS sales. Simple formula. See why it is called margin of safety? See, safety means when you will be safe when your company earns profit. Are you able to understand? Obviously, when you cross your BEP sales, definitely you will be earning profit. How much profit you will earn, that much safe it will be. That's why it is called margin of safety. How much safe you are, which means how much profit you are eventually earning. That's one thing. Okay. There is another formula for margin of safety that normally students tend to by heart. We don't do that. Let's try to understand how that formula has come. Right, now see here. There is a classical way to find profit. What is that? Take total sales, multiply that with PV ratio or contribution percentage. If you do that, you'll be getting contribution. Correct? From contribution, reduce fixed cost. You'll get your profit. This is a classical way of finding profit. Correct? Profit is equal to total sales into PV ratio, which will give you contribution minus fixed cost. You get your profit. Now I'm gonna find profit in a bit different way. What is that? Let's try to understand. Now see here guys. Profit is equal to, I'll not be taking total sales. Instead, I'll be taking margin of safety sales. Now that you know the concept of margin of safety, so margin of safety sales is nothing but sales beyond BEP sales. Correct? And then I'll multiply this with PV ratio. Again, I get contribution. See, when you multiply with PV ratio, obviously you'll be getting his contribution only minus. Will there be fixed cost? The answer is 0. There will be no fixed cost. Now you can ask me how? Arey yaar, I'm talking about margin of safety over here. What is margin of safety? Sales beyond BEP sales. What do you mean by sales beyond BEP sales? BEP sales has already been crossed. Once your BEP has already been crossed, it means your total cost is recovered. Total cost includes your fixed cost also, which means your fixed cost is recovered, which means beyond BEP your fixed cost is 0. Because variable cost varies along with the units, it will always be parallel to the units that you sell. So variable cost will always be present, but fixed cost is not like that. Once BEP has been crossed, your fixed cost is completely recovered. Therefore, there is no more fixed cost. So once you cross your break-even point, there is no more fixed cost. So from this, we can derive another formula. So margin of safety sales is equal to, send this side, which means it will be profit by PV ratio. Okay, if you want margin of safety in rupees, another formula. Okay, this is how that formula has got derived. If I want margin of safety in units, very simple, profit divided by, instead of PV ratio, you divide it with contribution per unit. Simple. Okay, calm. Concept is done. Okay, so let's rewind the concept. It's a pretty simple concept. Margin of safety is nothing but sales level beyond BEP sales. Therefore, margin of safety sales is equal to actual expected sales minus BEP sales. Got the point? Now, there is another formula for margin of safety. Instead of by hearting, we just went with a logical reasoning. So, normal classical way of finding profit is equal to total sales into PV ratio will give you contribution minus fixed cost will give you profit. But in the place of total sales, I'll take margin of safety sales and I'll multiply with PV ratio. I get my contribution, but there is no fixed cost to reduce, because when I talk about margin of safety, I've already crossed my BEP. So when I've already crossed my break-even point, my fixed cost has already been recovered. Therefore, right now in margin of safety sales, my fixed cost is 0. Since fixed cost is 0, are you able to understand? We have derived another formula. So margin of safety sales is equal to profit by PV ratio. If you want answer in terms of units, it is profit divided by contribution per unit. Pretty simple. Okay, so now that we have understood what is margin of safety, come back to this. So I've written actual expected sales here on the top, and the difference between BEP sales and actual expected sales is nothing but margin of safety, MOS. I've written over here. I hope this is clear, right? Chalo, that's it. Now there are few things that this is a theoretical graph. Please try to understand. The practical graph you will know only when you come to final level. I don't want to teach it right now. Theoretical graph means in reality this is not possible. In reality the graph is totally different. Anyway, so here there are few things that you guys need to understand. One is fixed cost. This fixed cost, which means this particular line influences break-even point, which means if this fixed cost line goes up, your break-even point also will go up. If fixed cost line comes down, then your break-even point also will come down. So your break-even point is totally influenced by fixed cost. That is one point. Second, you have this theta, that is angle of incidence. This is influenced by two factors. One is variable cost in the total cost, because variable cost only decides the incline angle. So if more the variable cost, more will be the incline angle, like this. If it is like this, then more the variable cost means it will go like this. If it goes like this, then the theta will be narrower, which means you are earning less profit. Okay, if variable cost is less, then the angle will go this side, which means the so-called theta angle will be more and you will be earning more profit. Same logic applies to total revenue also. If your sales is high, then the revenue line will go upwards this side, which means the theta will be big. The theta will be big because it goes this side, so the theta will be big, and that's a good thing. If the sales is falling or if the selling price is coming down, then the revenue line will come this way. If it comes this way, then the gap between revenue line and total cost line will become narrower and the theta will become smaller, which means you are actually getting depleted of your own profit. Okay, your profit is getting reduced. Got the point? So that is the BEP graph. Okay, so finally, what are all the things that we have seen over here? We have learned the concept of break-even point. We have also seen the BEP graph. This is how the BEP graph looks like in reality. Right now that is not the concept for you, so I will not be taking this. At final level we'll see. So right now we are seeing only the theoretical graph. So this is theoretical graph. Got the point? Which I have already taught you. So finally, what are the concepts that we have learned? We have learned what is break-even point. We have learned what is PV ratio. We have also learned what is margin of safety. Chalo. Those are all the things that we have learned to solve problem number 2. So in case you guys want to copy, definitely I ask you to copy all these things. It's better if you have a separate notes for this rapid revision. So if you want to copy, I would rather ask you guys to pause this video and then copy, because obviously I can't give you time to copy this. If I want to give you time to copy this, then we'll not be able to cover. So anyway, since you have the flexibility of pausing the video, pause the video and then copy. Are you able to understand? So that would be the great thing to do. Got this, guys? So let's go and solve the problem. Solve the problem here. This Windows Journal is a little bit easier for me when compared to OneNote. I'll stick on with this. So problem 2. Okay, I think we have read this sum. I'll show you one more time. Now read it one more time. PQ Limited reports the following cost structure at two capacity levels: 2000 units, 100% capacity, and 1500 units. Production overhead 1, production overhead 2. You got this. If selling price reduced by direct material and labor is 8 per unit, what would be the break-even point? That is the question. Okay. Now, pretty simple. We know the formula for BEP. Break-even point is equal to, what is the formula? Fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Correct? Fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. That implies, okay, we need to figure out what is fixed cost and what is variable cost. Pretty simple. Now let's come back to the question. Okay, let me erase it down. We'll try to figure it out. Just a second. Okay, right. So now see you guys. You know the basics of costing rule. Variable cost per unit remains constant, fixed cost per unit changes. I repeat, variable cost per unit remains constant and fixed cost per unit changes. You have 2000 units over here. As you can see, production overhead 1, you know that overhead is nothing but indirect cost. Production overhead 1, we don't know what it is. Per unit it is changing. Per unit, if it is changing, then it is fixed cost. Don't get confused. Fixed cost in total, it remains constant. Fixed cost per unit changes. Fixed cost in total remains constant. Fixed cost per unit changes. Then production overhead 2, as you can see here, per unit it remains constant, which means it is variable cost. You can check otherwise also. 2000 units now here, 2000 units into 3 rupees. How much you get? 2000 into 3, 6000. 1500 into 4, 6000 only. So in total it is constant, which is fixed cost. Whereas look at the variable cost, 2000 into 2, 4000 rupees. 1500 into 2, 3000 rupees. So variable cost in total is changing. So this is variable cost. I hope this is clear. So from this we can understand that production overhead 1 is fixed cost and production overhead 2 is variable cost, applying the so-called basics of costing knowledge. Got it? Chalo. Anyway. So production overhead 1 is fixed cost, production overhead 2 is variable cost. Production overhead 1 we know, which is 6000. So production overhead 1, which is nothing but fixed cost, divided by contribution per unit is nothing but selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. If you look at the question, there is a wording. Selling price reduced by direct material and labor is 8 rupees per unit. So selling price we don't know, reduced by direct material and direct labor, that also how much we don't know, but reduced by direct material and direct labor is 8 rupees. So this is what he has given you in the question. Selling price reduced by direct material and labor is 8 rupees per unit. What would be its break-even point? Okay. So selling price reduced by direct material and direct labor is how much? 8 rupees. But can I take 8 rupees as contribution? No. Contribution is that value only after reducing all the fixed cost. Did you reduce all the fixed cost over here? No. One is pending. What is that pending fixed cost? Production overhead 2. Sorry. Did you reduce all the variable cost? No. One is pending. What is that pending variable cost? Production overhead 2, which is variable cost over here, which is 2 rupees per unit. So reduce that as well, minus production overhead 2, which is a variable cost, which is 2 rupees. Now you get your contribution, which is 6. So contribution is that value after reducing all sorts of variable cost, not just 1 or 2. So now you got your variable cost, which is 6. Okay, so production overhead 1, which is fixed cost, divided by production overhead 2 per unit, because 2 is nothing but variable cost. That implies production overhead 1 kitna hai? Fixed cost. Here we have calculated 6000. So 6000 divided by production overhead 2, just now we have calculated 6. So 6000 divided by 6000 units. This 1000 units is your break-even point. That's what he has asked you in the question number 2, right? He has asked you to calculate what? BEP. And we got our BEP over here. Nothing surprising. You got the point. So what is a new thing that we have eventually learned from this particular question? It's very simple that eventually your any particular cost per unit that changes, we call it as fixed cost, because anything that changes on per unit basis, it is fixed cost. Anything that remains constant or per unit basis is variable cost. Anything in total that remains constant is fixed cost. Anything in total changes, that is variable cost. Are you able to understand? That's what we have learned. Now concept everybody would have learned, but when the time comes you have to apply it. That's the most important part over here, not just learning something. So application is the most important part. You got the point, guys? So you guys have applied over here, and that's the most important thing that we have learned. Okay, chalo guys, right? So with this we are done with the second one. And then okay, being the first day, I don't want to take this into further. We'll wind up the session over here, but first day I'll try to upload one more video. Probably I'll try to what do you call, premiere it in the evening or something like that, maybe around 8 p.m. in the evening. So first day, let's try to do this, and from next day onwards it will be from 7 to 9 a.m. in the morning. Okay, chalo. So let's wind up the session over here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you've enjoyed this video and if you want the session to be really long, you guys need to support, because that's what encourages, because ultimately the likes, the comments, and the support that we get from you people after watching the video really motivates us. So when student says that, sir, I'm really getting benefited because of your videos, we feel like, okay, we have to do more, even more, even more, even more. That will be the natural human tendency. Okay, so if you really like the video, definitely comment it and share the video as well. Let more people know, so that if we feel that our video is getting reached to more number of people, that will really, it's like, you know, as you can see, um, it's like we don't even get sleep. That's the sort of excitement that we face. So definitely like, I think you can spend that 10 or 20 seconds of your time, hopefully, and let's meet in another session. So thank you guys. This PK sir, winding up.